Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream. It is Thursday, August 20th, 2020. That's a lot of 20s. And you are, well, obviously, if you're watching right now, that means it's either a Tuesday or a Thursday, because for months now, Sheila Gunn-Reid and myself, David Menzies, we have been subbing for Ezra Levant on those 2 days to give the big boss man a bit of a break. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my lovely co-host, who's going to tell you what it is that we're hopefully attempting to do here. Welcome to the show, Sheila Gunn-Reid.
Hey, David. This is Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're quickly becoming my favorite part of the week. Oh. This is the fastest hour on the internet. We get talking, we get visiting with the people in the super chats, and then all of a sudden an hour has gone by, and it's great. What we're doing is the daily live stream now. It used to be just a weekly show on Friday hosted by Ezra, but during the pandemic, when the other news agencies said there's nothing to report on, there's no news during a pandemic, and they cut their local news coverage, we actually expanded our news coverage so that our once weekly live stream went to 5. And since Ezra has this, you know, Canada's largest independent news company to run, you and I step in on Tuesdays and Thursdays to just lighten it up a little bit and give the people something different. And as you can already see, if you're watching at home, the live chat is already pretty lively. Lots of back and forth. We have nearly 450 people watching right now. And if you'd like to support the work that we do and democratize the news, as I like to say, now's your chance. If you'd like to support us completely willingly, unlike what the government makes you do with CBC, you can throw some money into what's called the super chat. At the bottom of the live chat, there's a little $sign. Just click that. You can throw some money in there. Based on the amount of money that you give, you'll get more characters. And what it'll do is highlight your comment. It'll append it to the top of the chat so that everybody will see it. And then David and I will read it. We'll comment on it. If it's a question you have for us, that's great. If it's a topic you want to put on our radar, that's great too. But it's a great way for you to support the work we do completely willingly.
No, and it's win-win, Sheila, because there's a couple of things you said there in terms of the democratization of our type of journalism. Yeah, it's voluntary. If you love the Rebel News brand, by all means, throw in $1 or $3. If you don't, hey, that's no problem. We believe in freedom of choice. But the other thing, too, is whether it's a super chat comment, which admittedly you have to give money in order to make that comment, Sheila, or it's just going on our YouTube channel and making a comment for free. A thing we've never talked about, and it's significant to this idea of our viewers commenting on our content, is that have you ever gone onto some of the mainstream media websites, Sheila? I think CBC is the most flagrant violator of this, and it's outrageous given that they're given more than $1.5 billion per year to carry out their government funded propaganda, where you get to the end of the story and it says comments disabled for this story. I mean, you know, you're supposed to. Why would any media, Sheila, that is engaging with its readers or its viewers say, we're not interested, we don't give a tinker's damn what you have to say on this issue? And I think it's all the more egregious, Sheila, when you and I and all our viewers out there are involuntarily paying for this journalism in the first place. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's really funny how they have like, your opinion matters to us. And they're like, okay, great, I'm going to give it. Oh, there's no place to give it. Except if I click this link and then email the ombudsman, who will file my opinion in the circular file of the garbage can. They want to tell you what they think about the news, but they don't want to hear what you think about their style of journalism. Whereas here, you know, just knock yourself out. Talk with each other, talk with us. It's democracy happening in the news.
And you know what else, Sheila? I think they're uber sensitive to criticism and you know, how much of it they would receive by that. Typically with our videos, I mean, I was just looking at a video, I don't know which one it was, but it was something like more than 11,000 thumbs up and I think 17 thumbs down. I would suggest if they had that system on so many of the CBC and Toronto Star content, the reverse would be true. It would be people weighing in saying, we hate what you're trying to force feed down our throats, and they don't want that narrative to get out too. So it's so perversely ironic, isn't it, Sheila? Journalists that intrude upon people's lives, to get the story and to name and shame. When it comes to their naming and shaming, oh, no, we're too elitist for that. We like to tell you what to think, and we don't want to be criticized for it.
Speaking of people wanting to give us their opinion, we already have super chats rolling in. We're 5 minutes into the show. Maybe we should get to some of them already because we've got so much to talk about today because the WE scandal is just mushrooming. It's like a mushroom cloud. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it seems as though everything the Liberals have tried to make us believe about the WE scandal was a total lie. Who'd have thought that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals were unethical? I'm shocked. Anyway, let's get to some of these
on that point.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's not editorializing on your behalf.
No.
What the Trudeau Liberals are saying in terms of the chronology and what the documents, by the way, the documents that aren't redacted so that they're like black pieces of paper, and what the documents are showing regarding the timeline show two completely different stories about the Trudeau Liberals' relationship with the WE charity and the Kielburger shysters, brothers. And that is the definition of a lie. So, just read the chronology in the documents, folks, and compare that with what the Trudeau Liberals are saying.
Okay, let's get to these super chats, and then we'll get to that because Pierre Poilievre, he's really been the de facto leader of the opposition, and shame on the party for whatever they did to nuke his prospects to become the leader because holy moly, he's been great on this file. He's making everybody else just look like...
He's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so first super chat from Daniel Bryson. Hey, Sheila and David, you do great work. Wondering what you think about the cable the USA is putting up at the border in BC. First of all, we deserve that cable. I understand why our American friends don't want us crossing over, but maybe they just don't want Jonathan Yaniv to cross over into the border, because I think they're sort of putting it up in his neck of the woods in Langley. So maybe it's just like a Yaniv fence. They just have to put it like sort of high, because I don't think he's all that nimble. Nothing he can drive his scooter through, and they'll be safe of the Yanivs.
Does Jonathan / Jessica Yaniv, does he, her, it still have its cable?
Oh, gosh. From what I understand, interestingly enough, I had this right up on my Twitter feed for some reason.
Oh, Sheila has frozen. Well, that's the reality of a live show. And Sheila is back. Sheila, are your kids on the internet again? Get those kids off that video game.
Yes. One of them is still sleeping because she's 14.
That sounds like my kids. They get up at the crack of noon, ladies and gentlemen.
Jeez, I can't wait for the summer to end and they can go back to being normal kids and going to school. It's been summer since March, and I'm over it.
Go ahead, Sheila. You got some more super chats, I believe.
I do, yes. Okay, so Proud Boys Calgary, that's my friend Justin, not producer Justin, says leftists tried to get us booted from our regular bar in Calgary. Bouncer and manager told them to F off, join Proud Boys. You know, isn't that funny how, like, you guys are regular customers to a bar, and bars in Alberta are struggling, as I'm sure they are all over. And so this bar can count on your regular patronage. But the losers who are not regular patrons to this bar don't want them to serve you because why? Because you're conservatives, because you venerate the housewife, because you're Western chauvinists. Like, maybe how about, just like our buffet restaurant in Edmonton, Buffet Royale, how about bars just serve drinks to people who want them and they don't have a litmus test or a values test first? It's funny how The left wants to inject politics into even getting a beer. Just leave everybody alone.
Yeah, you know what? I'm very intrigued by what Justin of Proud Boys Calgary had to say, Sheila, and I'm going to ask him if he can kindly send another super chat, because I want to know what the details are of having, law-abiding people trying to get them removed from a bar where they're drinking at, which is, by the way, the ostensible policy of going to a bar to have a drink. And secondly, I want to know if there's any video of this encounter, because, and by the way, I beseech all our members of the audience, Sheila, if you are, whether it's, some rogue member of law enforcement or a bureaucrat or some Antifa type telling you to vamoose or telling you to do something that you are fully entitled to, please remember in this day and age to whip out your camera and film it, because we live in an era, it's almost as though, Sheila, if it ain't on video, it didn't happen and it doesn't exist. So always get that kind of evidence to back up your case. So, Justin, if you can email some of the, or super chat some of the details to us, I'm very, very interested in this story, actually.
Well, and now, never underestimate just how ridiculous the left is, though. They will, with our buffet restaurant, sending them emails with your name on it, with your name and email address, your contact details, saying, please censor these people. Don't even feed them. So if these people were emailing the bar manager, I think that'd be interesting to see. And there's always some sort of tie back to the NDP, almost always, by the way.
And you know what else is troubling to me? And I used to cover the food service industry for a trade magazine way back, Sheila, but it is how they are bending the knee, and it not so much in terms of ejecting people who some other people have an ideological problem with, but when you were in Toronto for the leadership debate, which turned into a conservative fireside chat with our friend Andrew Lawton, remember afterwards we went for a drink and a bite to a fantastic restaurant in Toronto. And I had to do a double take because for years, maybe decades, this restaurant was called the Village Idiot. And we pull up to it, and the sign has been changed to read the Village Genius. And they received, Sheila, one complaint that idiot was pejorative, so they switched it to genius. A few years ago, I remember the Earl's restaurant chain in Canada, they had a signature drink called the Albino Rhino. Well, wouldn't you know it, somebody said that's offensive to the albino community.
Yeah.
And that's been expunged. We have to stop bending the knee to these, these cranks, Sheila, that represent a percent of a percent of a percent of the population. And yet we just continue to do it, don't we?
Well, yeah, if you don't like it, don't go there. It's if you don't like something on TV, just don't watch it. Advertisers will notice their ratings go down, and then they'll, whatever it is, they'll be responsive. If you don't like it, don't go there. Why have it changed and then you were likely, I'm sure, these busybodies who worry about words like the Village Idiot, they aren't patronizing the place anyway. So why are you changing for them? And, when we were there, I thought, think about everything they had to change. Oh, yeah. The menus, the uniforms, the stationery, the business cards, the signage. That's, I would guess, probably $100,000 that they had to one guy.
Yeah, and Sheila, the change doesn't make sense. In the popular vernacular, there's no such a phrase as the Village Genius. It's the Village Idiot, right? So they should have just totally changed everything and just pretended it was an organic rebranding of the restaurant, as opposed to giving it a name that I think is idiotic.
Imagine being the guy who complained and you're self-identifying as the Village Idiot so that you can be offended. That's what happened here. Imagine being that guy. Anyway. Next super chat. Chris Marchese. I hope I'm saying that right. $2 Canadian. How sad was that Democratic convention?
Oh.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I'm not sure if it's up or if it's coming out very soon. Our friend Andrew will have a video where he pokes quite a bit of fun at that very sad convention. So make sure you have the little bell rung on our channel here so you don't miss that.
Oh, but Michelle Obama, I understand, gave a great, rousing, groundbreaking speech, which I think if you had the Coles Notes version of it was me. You know, I mean, if you look at the media coverage of that Obama speech, it was embarrassing. It was so gushing. I felt like I was back in 2009 again, Sheila, for a second there. And but hey, I think it wraps tonight, doesn't it? So this is when Joe Biden assumes the position, and I can't wait for that speech. Even if it's on a teleprompter, you know, sleepy old Joe, he's going to screw up somewhere.
Oh, it's going to be the most exciting part of the whole thing. I would not be surprised if it isn't like a pre-taped, pre-recorded address and then they just roll it, because I don't think they want him talking live. I know I wouldn't. Like, if I were a Democrat advisor, as like a conservative, I'm like, let's hear from Joe. But if I were in the Democrat Party, I would be like, no, we need to pre-record this 5 days ago, let him practice every single day, try to get him to remember what year this is, and hopefully he doesn't screw it up. But if it's live, it's going to be very exciting. The most exciting, most interesting part of the whole convention.
And you know what, Sheila? You should be part of the Team Biden Advisory Committee, because what you said was brilliant. Pre-tape it from Joe's basement. And here's the way you package it. Joe would love to be there live, but he's really committed to social distancing. So this is the safest way to, you know, show you what Joe has to say.
Yes, and he's older than dirt. So he's right in that demographic that will die of the coronavirus. So you've got to keep him safe. Let's keep going. Toys are for boys, 666. Grenade launcher satire the other day. Wasn't satire. Super Chat won't let me post a pic of police here and the 10-day turn-in letter. Are you kidding? They came to take your deactivated grenade launcher. Now, I got the, like, your guns could be confiscated, and I think everybody who's got a pal or our pal got that letter. But that's crazy. They came to your house to get a deactivated grenade launcher and a 10-day turn-in letter, or what? What are they going to do to you? I'm very curious. Toys are for boys. Please email me. I'd like to hear the rest of this story.
Sheila, have you ever fired a grenade launcher?
I've fired a potato cannon, and that's as close as I've ever come.
What the heck is that? Potato
You don't know what a potato cannon is?
I buy potatoes at the supermarket, and I pick them up. I don't have them shot to me.
Oh my goodness, you need PVC piping, some sort of ignition, and depends. If you've got like an old crappy diesel tractor around, then you probably have ether. Ether works, propane works, hairspray in a pinch. And what you do is you pack a potato in the end of like a PVC pipe, and you have like a place where you put your gas. Usually you can just twist it back on, and you have like a igniter, and usually 10 seconds of ether will do it. And you could shoot this potato. Like, it's amazing. Wow. I can't believe you don't know what a potato cannon is. They're easy to make. I'm not going to give anybody my plans for a potato cannon, but they're all over the internet, and they're super fun, super cheap to shoot, right?
You know what? Oh, Andrew, our military guy, high energy Andrew, says he's walked into the control room and he says he's shot a grenade launcher. So between Andrew says shooting an actual grenade launcher and you shooting this potato launcher, this is what happens a lot on the live stream, folks. I feel like so little of a man. I feel like just a facsimile of a male, because, and I got to be honest, Sheila's there talking about PVC pipes and nitrogen and and all that. I walk into a
Ether.
Home Depot, which is usually just to buy batteries, and I see all this stuff, all these building materials the real men are buying. I walk out of there so ashamed of myself. I can't build anything. I can't fix anything. That's why I'm in journalism, basically. So thanks a lot, Sheila, for boosting my self-confidence yet again. And Andrew just says to Justin, who gleefully passed it along to me, high energy Andrew says, I am not a real man. Hey, tough guy, just wait till this show ends. We'll put that to the test. Anyways, Sheila, continue.
Next year, David, when we actually have a rodeo season, you and I will do like the fun Alberta stuff, and I'll show you what the alphas do out here.
No,
and we'll go shooting a potato cannon. It'll be super fun.
No, we won't do anything that has to do with rodeo, because I told you in 1985, my first job as a journalist at the St. Paul Journal, I went to the Smoky Lake Rodeo, and those cowboys conned me to get on a bull, and I ended up in hospital. Well, I'll embellish the story. I almost died. Well, my arm was in a cast, and that's enough rodeo for this city slicker to last a lifetime. Okay, Sheila.
I love Smoky Lake, and I
got smoked in Smoky Lake.
I'm sad you didn't appreciate their hospitality. It's a great town. Let's keep going. Sam B gives us £5. Keep up the good work. I've been enjoying all the content. I hate the greenies. Hope you sort them out. Yeah, don't get me started on the hippies. I'm like somebody's grandpa from the 1960s. That's how I feel about hippies. I skipped over a super chat there. Yuda Bursi, I think is how I say that, $6.99. I don't see a super chat, but thank you very much. Abu Baker, Alpuff Daddy gives us $10. Good Thursday morning, Gunny and Menzoid. Sheila, I'd like a woman's perspective, okay? Why does Hillary stay married to Bill Clinton given all of his shenanigans, especially in light of the recent photo? Hillary's evil and she likes power. Really, that's all it is. There's a lot of women out there who stay married to their husbands simply because of the lifestyle that it provides for them. They put up with a lot. They'll overlook a lot. For a lot of women, it's money or a certain lifestyle. For her, it's power. It's always been power for her.
And I got to tell you, folks, you can watch the video online. I think it was December of 2018. Bill and Hillary Clinton came to Toronto and to give a speech at the Air Canada Centre, emceed in a very embarrassing way by Frank McKenna. And it was, the narrative they portray, because they take questions from the audience, and one of them was, how did you two meet? And you would think you're reading a Harlequin love story. The idea that, all that's missing and they lived happily ever after. And by the way, for the first time ever, what I experienced outside the Air Canada Centre, because that's where the Leafs and the Raptors play. And by the way, they had to condense the seating arrangement. They had to upgrade everybody because they sold so few tickets. It was reverse scalping. So basically, the scalpers, you were giving them maybe 10 or 20% of face value for the tickets. They took a bath on that one. So I'm glad, Torontonians didn't fall en masse for that. But you know what I would love to have compared it to, Sheila? Imagine a Trump rally at the ACC. I bet it would have been standing room only, even a city like Toronto. So yeah, don't believe the Clintons' narrative is what I'm saying.
Definitely not. Chris Marchese gives us $2, says boycott Goodyear. David, I think you're sort of formulating or working on a story about that, or you have ideas. You have ideas.
Well, my first idea when I saw, President Trump's tweet, because basically, for those who don't know the story, Goodyear has this really weird, bizarre policy right now in the U.S. that when it comes to political messages, well, some political messages are okay, i.e. a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. Yeah, so when it comes to, the politics of Marxism and anarchy, that's fine. But if you dare wear a MAGA hat, no way, you do not have a position at Goodyear anymore. So Donald Trump, I think, is doing some, they call it a zero tolerance policy. They call it discriminatory. the funny thing is, Sheila, is Donald Trump is basically taking a arrow out of his quiver that the left always does in terms of applying economic pressure to those who have a different ideology. And the first thing I did is when I heard this story, I went home. I was almost disappointed. I checked all the tires on my vehicles. Bridgestone, Toyo, Hankook. I was really hoping there would be some Goodyear tires so I could take them off the vehicle and bring it back to the Goodyear tire dealership. And by the way, I understand, Sheila, Goodyear's stock price in the last 48 hours has dipped a couple of percentage. And for those who are saying, yeah, but these people that run the Goodyear tire dealerships, the people of Akron, Ohio, the good people that are making these tires, why are you going to war on them? No. It is these people that should be directing their ire at these woke Goodyear executives that have created this monster of a controversy. And what do you think about it, Sheila? Is Goodyear going to fall on its sword and say, okay, we're scrapping our political apparel policy? Or are they going to go to the wall on this, even though a boycott's underway and their share price is falling?
Well, first off, my affinity for Cooper Tires holds up. Cooper Tires, sponsor of many pro rodeo events. But it looks like actually Goodyear is starting a bit of a disinformation campaign of their own. At first, now they gave a statement saying, oh, we didn't actually do this, that we didn't say anything about this. But now, liars, exactly, because now leaked audio, I think it's on, if anybody at home wants to see it, it's on Matt Walsh's Twitter page. He has the leaked audio of, I think it was a meeting or a phone call of Goodyear executives. Somebody leaked the audio, basically saying, proving that Goodyear is lying right now. So it wasn't like they could have probably fixed this and said, okay, you know what? We're just no political messaging. None of it. We're just whatever. But rather, they started a cover-up, a Trudeaupian cover-up of lies, and now things are coming out, and it's just going to get worse and worse.
And you know something else, Sheila, from a purely business perspective, because I've seen Black Lives protest marches here in Toronto, and I've seen the ranks of Afro-Indigenous Rising, which is kind of affiliated with Black Lives Matter. You know what, Goodyear? Those cats ain't driving vehicles. They're using public transit. They're riding bicycles. Maybe a bit. Does Goodyear make bicycle tires? I don't think they do. But I can't imagine the markup is as good as getting tires for cars and trucks. So know your demographic. Know your customer. You are offending people that own vehicles and have plenty of choice when it comes to an alternative tire, and you're kowtowing to basically a lot of losers that car ownership is only going to come via a winning lottery ticket.
How about just sell tires? Just sell tires and shut up about everything else. Honestly. Okay, let's keep going because we have so many super chats and we're almost halfway through the show and we haven't even talked about the We Charity scandal. This is bad. This is bad. There's almost 1,400 people currently tuned in to hear us talk about the We Charity scandal and we haven't got it. So let's just keep going. Okay. Steve Irving gives us £5. It says, love watching all Rebel reports. Keep up the good work. Steve from UK. Thank you, Steve. Mike Mayer. That's my new friend, Mike. He gives us $5, says, thanks for all the hard work, People versus Predators. Mike is with People versus Predators, and he's working hard to keep communities safe. And I think you guys have a protest this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, or currently ongoing and through to this afternoon at the Fort Saskatchewan Courthouse. So that's kind of local to me, as much as anything can be local to me. So I might, if I get all my work done here, I'm probably going to pop by and just check it out.
Is there actually a fort in Fort Saskatchewan, Sheila?
Yes. Yep.
There
yep.
is. Okay.
Yep.
I know a Toronto-based stand-up comic, former comic, and his policy after touring Canada, he will never do a routine in any city that has the word fort in it. He has had bad experiences with hecklers. So, but I've never been to Fort Saskatchewan. I'm sure there are a lot of good people there.
It's the site of actually two forts. So it was originally, I think, Fort Augustine or Augustus. I can't remember the original name. I think it was. And then it was competing. They're competing companies between like what was Fort Saskatchewan, what was Fort Edmonton, and we got the RCMP outpost. So yeah, it's just there at the time, a long time ago, very, very long time ago, it was a big rivalry between Fort Saskatchewan and Fort Edmonton.
And so shouldn't it be called Forts Saskatchewan?
Okay, let's keep going. We've got Mitchell Christensen gives us $6.99. I left voicemail for Pink Flamingo saying their group is a joke for mural replacement. Oh, Keane's story. Yes, yeah. SaveTheMural.com. They posted my phone number to their group and I've got death threats. Mitchell, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised that these leftist social justice warriors would dox you and then give you death threats. Yeah. That makes perfect sense to me. That's exactly their MO. I'm sorry that they couldn't take constructive criticism, especially from taxpayers who were going to foot the bill to pay for their new mural. But yeah, I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Sheila, constructive criticism? They can't even articulate their position.
Words are violence, David. Okay, that's what they keep telling me. Not words are violence and silence is violence. So I don't even know what you're supposed to do anymore. But the only thing that isn't violence is actual violence, because that is peaceful protesting. That's right. From what I understand.
Wow.
Viking Insane gives us $2. Lefties claim tolerance. They aren't. Matthew 7:16. Yes, Matthew 7:16. By their fruit, you will recognize them. Yes. They'll know we're Christians by our love, and we'll know they're leftists by their rioting and destruction, I suppose.
I can only quote Austin 3:16.
Yes. You know what? I hope my parish priest was watching, because I'm kind of proud of myself that I knew that a little bit. Proud of my catechism there. Proud Boys Calgary, $6.99. They snitched to the bouncer. Okay, he's answering your question.
Oh, yes.
They snitched to the bouncer about our racist Fred Perry shirts. Yeah, that's, you guys do wear the uniform. Bouncer now interested in joining. Isn't that funny how that happens?
And that's who I want on my team, Sheila, not some soy boy Antifa type, a keyboard warrior. I want the bouncer on the front door of a rough and tumble bar that knows how to take care of business. So good on you, Proud Boys Justin.
No vid, sorry, Menzoid, CCP must be destroyed. That reminds me of our restaurant owner in Sherwood Park when the pro-CCP protesters showed up and blocked us for an entrance, so his patrons and our book signing people couldn't get inside. He tried to have all their cars towed.
I love it.
It was so great. He's like, yep, I called the tow truck companies, but the tow truck companies had to call the RCMP, and it was just a big rigmarole, but his heart was in the right place.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. Canadian Wildman 94 gives us $50. Thank you very much. 26 years old with over 40K in target recreational shooting equipment, worked for a private corporation and work alongside law enforcement, etc., never committed a crime ever. Can Rebel News ask Trudeau what kind of compensation, if any, I'll receive other than an RCMP door kick? Yeah. I mean, who's going to be in charge of the buyback? Who's going to decide what your family heirlooms are worth? That's the thing that really irritates me, is not only there's a sticker price attached to some of our newer firearms, but there are firearms that were my dad's and my grandpa's that they used to tend their livestock, that my daughter wants to use to tend her livestock when she takes over the farm. And she keeps talking about when I take over the farm, and I'm like, well, where am I going? What are you going to do with me? But there's sentimental value attached to these things that have never committed a crime. They've only been working tools. And now we have to turn them over to the RCMP, or we are criminals. And by the way, who decides that value?
On the ask request, you and I and Kean, we'd be more than happy to comply. Just two things. He doesn't take questions from Rebel News, and what did he do the other day? Oh, yeah, he prorogued Parliament. So, there's nobody home to answer those questions.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we could try to ambush Bill Blair, but what will he do? Like, what is he going to say? Oh, well, we were going to hire the Kielburgers to administer that multi-billion-dollar program too, which wouldn't actually surprise me.
Well, Sheila, here's some advice. Don't anyone ambush Bill Blair, being an ex-Toronto police chief. He's one of those rare cats in Canada. He's an endangered species where he has a permit for a conceal and carry handgun, I understand. So don't anyone ever ambush the public safety minister. It wouldn't be good for your safety.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. It's true. Bill Blair's life is more important than mine, I suppose, according to the government. Troy S. gives us $10. And he says, BLM is a homegrown terrorist organization that needs to be disbanded. Rebel News is a great organization that speaks the other side of the story. Yes, I hope we do. Thank you, Rebel, for all your hard work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Careful with the name is the note from Justin. Fawking Guy. Fawking Guy gives us $5. I don't see a super chat. Thank you very much. Same name, $10. Newfoundland has yet to ban the word Newfie, as it's only a matter of time before that liberal rock sees it as offensive. I'm not a triggered Newfie, FYI. Yeah, you know what? I live. I don't know where you're from, Fawking Guy, but. There are so many relocated Newfies to Alberta who are absolutely not uptight about being called Newfies. I don't even know how it's a derogatory name. It's just a short and cutesy version of Newfoundland. I don't get how it's a derogatory name. And I've never met a Newfie who's offended by it. There's so many Newfies where I live. We have Newfie sections of our grocery stores, and they start celebrating New Year's Eve way earlier. Like, they ring in the new year like 3.5 hours earlier than everybody else because they're ringing it in with their friends back home. And so the fireworks go off sometimes where I live like much sooner than they normally would. Just people shooting them off in their backyard because there's so many of them. And I've never heard a single one be offended, but somebody will be offended for them and then have it changed.
Well, Sheila, I can tell you, I lived 2 years in Newfoundland, and there were, I imagine they're probably out of print now, but there were books written by a Newfoundlander, by the way, Newfie jokes, new Newfie jokes, more Newfie jokes. It was a whole series of books. I think they were probably bestsellers. I mean, you'd even see them at airport gift shops. And I remember in the preface, the author addressed this whole idea of this being a derogatory term. And he said, the purpose of this book, I'm paraphrasing right now, it's not to mock Newfoundlanders, but to show that we can take a joke as well as give one. And I think what a great spirit. Of course, this is decades, folks, before cancel culture. So now I'm on the side of, yeah, it really is only a matter of time before calling somebody from St. John's a Newfie is a hate crime, and you're going to go in front of a human rights tribunal for compensation. Who knows?
I'm not changing it until Rex Murphy says we have to change it. Yeah. Only then.
And how about the Stompin' Tom Connor song, right? You may think I'm goofy, but the man on the moon is a Newfie. Which, by the way, makes no sense because nobody from Newfoundland was ever involved with the space programs of either the U.S. or the USSR. But I digress.
Let's keep going. Al Martins gives us $2. There's so many super chats, David, and there's 20 minutes left in the show, and we haven't done anything.
That's okay. We're rolling in money. That's beautiful. Ezra's going to love this.
I just want to win the rivalry again. Anyways. Al Martins gives us $2. Congrats on removing Morneau, but the replacement is worse. Yes.
Yes.
She's going to be awful. Awful. She's going to be pro-tax, wait till the carbon tax goes up. Just wait. Adam Clark gives us $13.99. David, can we expect to see a book written by you anytime soon? I think that's a great idea.
Yes, you can, because actually last year, I believe our boss, Ezra, said there's no reason why our Rebel staffers can't write at least one book a year. And I was about 20% into mine. And then this pandemic came out of nowhere. So it's kind of, on the back burner right now. But it's going to be a good one. I don't want to play my hand about what it is. And I should get on it. But, Sheila, like you said off the hopper, and I'm speaking for all our Rebel staffers. We have never been busier than during this pandemic. For the calendar year 2020, folks, and I'm not complaining. Please don't get the wrong vibe, because I'd rather be too busy than not busy enough. I've only had one full weekend off since January, just one, because there's things always happening. And if it's happening on Saturday and Sunday, you don't think we're going to say something like a CBC broadcaster or a Toronto Star staffer, hey man, that's my time off. No. We're going to go cover it. So there's just literally not enough hours in the day to do all this reporting and to write a book. But I haven't forgotten. I will deliver that book. Thank you for putting, is it a burr under my saddle, Sheila?
Yes.
Is it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
It is, friends at home, I'm not exaggerating at all when I say this. We have these big Monday morning staff meetings where I join on Skype, and we get through like, okay, what's everybody working on today? And it's like, well, all the editors are working on the 8 stories David covered over the weekend. When like the rest of the world took a day off or half a day off, David did like a full week's worth of work over the weekend, and everybody has to work to catch up to David on Monday morning because he's working so hard, which makes me feel bad because I think you're the oldest one of all of us.
Thank you. But
anyways.
Yeah, and since some of the department store chains have rolled back their seniors discounts to like 50 and 55, there's, I guess, membership has its privileges, as American Express used to say.
I just, I kind of hope it's not a joke book, but I also hope it is a joke book. And, and I'm considering my next book maybe a conservative parenting book. I'm not sure. A lifestyle book. Let's keep going. Tracy Ellis gives us $20. Tracy, very generous. I don't see a super chat. Thank you very much. Abu Baker Alpuff Daddy gives us $5. Menzoid, you the man. I second that motion. Gunny, take David to the gun range. Yes, I'll take you to the gun range. Oh, we'll put some arrows through a foam deer too. That'll be super fun.
Do they still have those Osama bin Laden targets that you can buy, or is that? Yeah,
you can get the ones that look like terrorists. Yeah. I have terrorist ones, zombie ones, and gopher ones. So you can take your pick. Okay. So toys are for boys, 666. I emailed the tips line with grenade launcher pics. Feel free to show them on stream. 10-day turn-in letter launcher, etc. Okay, I will look for that. I'm CC'd on the tip line. Thank you very much. Anaxuna Moon gives us $2.79. Hippies are watching too. Sheila, love Earth and Rebel. That frightens me that the hippies are watching, because I think hippies are slightly murderous. It's okay to be a conservationist and love nature and love Earth, but tripping out hippies on LSD, they generally turn murderous, a la Charles Manson and a few others.
And Sheila,
like the founder of Earth Day, who composted his girlfriend and got away with it for a very long time.
And I want to say something too, Sheila, that, I'm a child of 1962. So at the height of the hippie movement, probably the zenith, I would say 1969, that was Woodstock after all. So I'm 7 years old at the time. And you would think a 7-year-old boy, the whole idea of, not bathing, just hanging around doing nothing, that would be a very appealing lifestyle. But even as a 7-year-old, I was going, these people are gross. They're yucky. And in 1969, I couldn't give a rodent's rectum about Woodstock. My eyes were glued to what was happening in Houston with the space program. It was all about Apollo 11 for me. So I'm just saying that as a child, and children aren't the most hygienic of specimens out there. If a 7-year-old child in 1969 found the hippie movement gross, you can imagine how I feel about it today.
We've got to keep going, Dave. We have 15 minutes left in the show.
Shut up.
We have 15.
Sorry.
I know. I also have a story. Like my mother-in-law used to tell my girls horror stories about hippies. Like when she from the 60s, like hippies all coming out of the bush, like Night of the Living Dead. And my kids still talk about it. Like they had bad dreams about it. They're like, Grandma, tell us the scary story of the hippies coming out of the bushes in BC. And I'm like, I'm scared too. Let's not talk about it. Let's keep going. Kane Enmark gives us $5. All the gays are too scared to go to gay bars. I don't know about that. Soon the bars will be no more. Well, that's a economic thing, I think. Those 3 Muslims have a big win. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Sneaky Beaver. Oh, the guys that Kian did the story on. Justin, refresh me. Oh, yes, thank you. Okay. Yes, I guess you're probably referring to the same-sex couple that Kian covered in Calgary, who were beaten on the street. They were whipped with a belt, and one of them was sent to the hospital with some pretty serious injuries in what looks to be a homophobic hate crime in Calgary that all of a sudden nobody's talking about anymore.
Maybe because, Sheila, there was no media coverage about this, right?
And wrong kind of perpetrator, right?
Exactly. So, didn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, we've got competing on the hierarchy of human rights, and I guess same-sex couple in Calgary minding their own businesses somewhere down here. So.
Yeah. But if those were good old boys wearing, say, MAGA caps, it's still on the front page today, isn't it?
Oh, there would be special
perpetrators.
Oh, there would be special laws introduced to punish anybody and everybody who wore a MAGA hat because of that hate crime. That's what would happen. Sneaky Beaver, $5. French media is totally avoiding the topic of Justin Trudeau. French people are so easily manipulated. Can't believe you went for a swim, Menzoid. Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, and I was second runner-up at the Miss Coburg wet T-shirt contest that night. What do you think about that? There we go.
Oh, there he is.
I forgot to pack my swimsuit, right? So,
you went in with your shoes and your hat.
Oh, Sheila, what a day. You know, there's people, there was a trailer park, and there was people behind the Berlin-style wall at Coburg. And I swear, I'm thinking that they were thinking, there must have been a shipwreck. Why is there a guy in the suit walking out of the water? You know, so what a day that was.
It was like one of those guys who wears a suit every day and pretends that he goes to work because he lost his job. And you don't know what, you run out of things to do because you have to do something to kill 8 hours in a day before you go back and tell your wife that you had a hard day at the job and you just went to the beach and played.
Or maybe I was channeling the Three Stooges. Lady Menzoid finds this the most disturbing thing about the Three Stooges, but whenever they're depicted having a bath, they're still in their suits, right? So
it's like how the Flintstones slept in separate beds, too. It was a different time. Let's keep going because, oh my goodness, everybody are so generous. Annalisa S. gives us $13.99. Oh, my sweet Menzies. Your video with you jumping into the water made me laugh so hard. You don't float well, do you? That's because he's pure muscle, and muscle sinks like a rock.
Wow. I'll take that as the excuse.
David... Justin, that's not why he whispers in my ear.
Justin,
David,
always the critic. Justin, I'll let you know that under this suit, I have a washboard stomach. It just has 30 pounds of laundry on it right now, but I digress. Go ahead, Sheila.
David Anderson gives us $2. Systemic liberal corruption is systemic. Pass it on.
I like that.
Wayne Swiddick gives us $5 no super chat. Derek G gives us $10. Are people of color and or immigrants eligible for any tax credits benefits solely for being part of these groups in Canada? I don't think so. Any unfair socioeconomic advantages over the rest? I'm not sure unless you're talking about like preferential hiring practices, especially within the federal government. That's a thing. Mike Mayer gives us $10, says, Sheila, the Karens of Fort Saskatchewan have already called the cops on us. That's about right. They've called the cops on the people protesting an alleged child killer out on bail in the community of Fort Saskatchewan. I'm disappointed to say there are those sorts of Karens in my community, but they are everywhere, aren't they?
Let's hope the cops do the right thing and just make a U-turn once they check out what that protest is all about, Sheila.
The cops wanted to see inside our cooler to make sure it wasn't stocked with megaphones. Oh, those Karens are the worst. You guys, I have to make it out there. MVP gives us $5. Thoughts on the boss's last stream? It was good to see his more sensitive side. Oh, his dating advice? Yeah, it was also nice to have someone else suffer through his movie clips instead of me. He's made me watch that movie clip several times, and I'm like, why are you showing this to me? I'm happily married. I have 3 kids. I did my part. I did my part for humanity. You got to show that to the single people. I get it. I did this. I didn't need the advice. But I do think there is some room out there for, let's say, a conservative lady matchmaker who would help attach fed up Central and Eastern Canadian women with the sort of menfolk that are out there.
Wow.
To some alpha types out here. And maybe do a little bit of that.
Didn't the boss kind of launch a beta version of that? Didn't he solicit dates for our colleague Yankee in Montreal, Sheila? So how do you like that? So Yankee is on the market, ladies. And for Sheila, are you kind of now sad that you're off the market?
No, I'm perfectly fine. My choices, I'm great. I'm great. Everybody's happy in my household. Happy life, happy wife. But maybe Yankee might consider an Alberta woman. I'm just saying, an Alberta woman might be more up his alley. We like to shoot. We like to hunt. We like the things that Yankee likes to do. I think it might be easier for him to find a more freedom-minded gun enthusiast out in the West as opposed to Montreal, and maybe he could rescue himself from Montreal at the very same time. I'm just floating a thought bubble.
Yeah, so all you hot Albertan single women, please send your photos to Yankee.
No, I'll be pre-screening. They're not going directly to Yankee.
And me for 3 screening.
Okay, no. Let's keep going. MVP. Oh, sorry, we read that one. Chris Rock gives us $5. Sheila, look up mass resistance in the USA. They educate the public. They educate the public about pedophiles and predators who target our kids. Would be great for PvP. Xanax gives us $5. Says move to Toronto for a year, gun, then write a book on surviving hell and how you got out of it after moving back to Alberta. My family would be feral if I left because there's no way in hell they would come with me. My husband for sure not. Like he's like, work is here, I'm not leaving, farm's here. But my kids, imagine taking my outdoorsy kids who dirt bike and shoot and hunt and basically just roam free and plunking them onto a postage stamp sized lot in Toronto and saying, this is your life now. That's child abuse.
Oh, folks, this would be a crime against humanity. I mean, just forget about Sheila's kids. Sheila herself, I mean, Sheila is like this, wild horse on the American or Canadian plains, and you want to put her in a tiny little corral. I mean, taking Sheila and putting her in a 600 square foot condo on the 48th floor and having her commute by public transit in hermetically sealed tubes, she'd have a break. In fact, I know she'd have a breakdown because I almost forgot.
I would.
Israel, on the bus, you curled up, you doubled over. It looked like you were going to get sick. It'd be like, like I said, taking a free-ranging animal and putting it in a tiny prison cell. You could not do that to Sheila or her family. No, sir.
I get claustrophobic driving in Edmonton because everything is above me and I can't park underground. It just wouldn't be good. I'm not good with any of that stuff.
Too. You screaming out of the catacombs.
I did. I think I even shoved Ezra. Like I pushed past him and like bounced him up against a brick wall just to get past. Like I had old people bouncing off brick walls just to get out of there. I still feel bad. And I hope to see our people again so that I can personally apologize for just like throwing them aside so I can get out of the catacombs.
So I guess a ride in the subway is totally out of the question.
Completely. Lucky Wright gives us $5. Hey, David, awesome dive in the water there. The people there need to band together and just go for a swim. They're going to arrest everyone. Stand up, Canada. Yes.
But you know what?
True.
If I can interject here, Sheila, that was the purpose of me going there. Last month, we did a report, there is a legal loophole around that big iron fence. You just have to access the water from the pier, not the beach. So it's not even a matter of overwhelming law enforcement with mass arrests. You can get into the water in Coburg. But Sheila, I guess, we the sheeple, City Council wants us to stay on land, even on a beautiful, hot, humid August Saturday. So on land will stay, even though there's a legal way around that, right? And here's some of the patriots that took advantage. Now, you got to be careful. The reason why law enforcement's there, folks, is they have what's known as the 2-ankle rule. So like this individual who did get charged, if they can see your bare ankles sticking out of the water, you are trespassing. So you have to make sure you can, and I'm not making this up, folks. I know it's like Victorian England, isn't it, Sheila, where if a woman showed her ankles, it was considered scandalous. So don't show your ankles in Coburg, folks.
It's like the wet foot, dry foot laws in Florida for like Cuban refugees. If you get to dry land, it's okay. But if they catch you out in the water,
yeah. Well, if you get to dry land in Coburg, it ain't okay. You're going to be charged with trespassing. So stay in the water.
David, we have 4 minutes left in the show. We're officially caught up on all these super chats.
Oh.
Should we show at least some of Pierre Poilievre's press conference where he's detailing that? Because at least then we've covered one thing mentioned in the title of this video.
You know what? But we will throw to Pierre Poilievre doing that. But Sheila, I am more than happy to go back to what we said at the beginning. Unlike what the mainstream media, tall forehead types will do, we are happy to engage with our audience, are we not?
I love it.
Yeah, and I've never had so much fun on a show, even though we didn't get to one single topic on this list. So without further ado, let's see Pierre the Pitbull in action.
Gentlemen, we now know why Justin Trudeau shut down those parliamentary investigations yesterday. We have the documents right here. Let me start with an email from Michelle Kovacevic, one of the top Finance Canada officials. She, to start off with, says the Canada Student Service Grant is, quote, a bit of a shit show. And I'm quoting, excuse the language, but it's right there in the bureaucratic document. That's not how bureaucrats normally communicate in their official emails and memos back and forth. But apparently, this highly respected public servant felt it was an appropriate characterization. That was April 20th, exactly when the Kielburgers were in the process of negotiating to get this $500 million program set up. The same public servant writes another email to one of her colleagues in which she says that we is connecting with my minister's office. They are all besties. Besties. The finance minister's office is besties with the we organization that they're attempting to give $500 million. Then we have another email from the same public servant to the Privy Council office, in which she says, in direct contradiction to what Justin Trudeau testified under oath, that the Prime Minister's office was, quote, weighing in. This is in April, well before the May 8th date when the Prime Minister claimed he first learned of it. If he just learned of it on May 8th, why is it that his office was quote unquote weighing in on the issue 17 days earlier?
Sheila, I wouldn't put it past these lying liars of the Liberal Party of Canada to start spinning the narrative. For example, when Pierre spoke of that word the bureaucrat used, besties, meaning presumably best friends, they're going to say something, oh no, that was a typo. They meant to say beasties. And you see, a beastie is the polar opposite of a best friend, right? I wouldn't put it past these characters, Sheila.
It's shocking how shameless this attempt to prorogue Parliament really was.
Yeah.
Because that right there, that's why Justin Trudeau prorogued Parliament. He didn't want those documents to see the light of day. And I can't, if that's what they left in, imagine what's redacted. Imagine what's redacted. Justin Trudeau tried to hide the fact that he lied in committee testimony. And now it's there in writing. He knew it was in writing. They all knew it was in writing. Bardish Chagger, she's a shameless liar. She said that she didn't have these conversations. She's in these conversations like a dirty shirt. It's outrageous that they tried to do this and then just shut down Parliament to block it from coming out. This is the sponsorship scandal on steroids, and everything is in writing now. And I'm very glad that the RCMP is all of a sudden very interested in it. However, I'm not confident that anything will come of that because, well, you know how the RCMP deals with the Liberals.
You know, it's funny, you mentioned the sponsorship scandal. You're absolutely right, Sheila. That's nothing. You know, that's a speck of dust scandal-wise. And what was the biggest scandal in the Harper regime? Oh, yeah, Bev owed a $16 glass of orange juice that she expensed the taxpayer. I mean, like I said, these are specks of dust, relatively speaking, to an entire galaxy of, as Pierre pointed out, a shite show of lies, manipulation, conflicts of interest. It's deplorable. And this was the Prime Minister back in 2015 saying that this was going to be the most honest and transparent government in Canadian history. Oh, it's the polar opposite.
If this happened in the United States, there would be serious jail time for everybody involved.
Yes.
Like serious long-term jail time for everybody involved. This is outrageous. And in Canada, what are they going to get? $300 fine, maybe $500 fine.
Oh yes.
Bill Morneau, he's retired now, sitting on a fortune, retired. He's the fall guy in all of this. Chagger's a liar. Trudeau's enriching his family and his friends using government money, and it really a slap on the wrist. And I'm not sure if the general public cares as much as they should.
And you know something, Sheila, this might seem like a stupid question, but what really is the future of the We Charity? Surely they can't survive this, or are there enough lunkheads out there that say, all right, they might have broke some rules and regulations and ethics and morals, but it was for the right cause, so let's not, throw the entire charity under the bus. What do you see as the future of that organization?
I'm not sure it's a charity at all. It's a real estate company with a charity front, is what I think it is. And have the Kielburgers even paid back the money they received to administer this government program? Because as recently as about a week ago, they hadn't turned back any of that money. They were still making arrangements to pay it back. This is over a month-long ongoing thing. Why didn't you give the money the very second that this was canceled, knowing full well that this would blow up into a scandal? Have they already spent the money? God only knows. I have no idea. And that's another huge problem here, is that the Kielburgers, they got this government money. They didn't do anything to it. Let's even say that they were the only people who could administer this program. The program's canceled. Why didn't you pay the money back right away? Why is this still ongoing? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And wouldn't you love to scrum those brothers, Sheila? But where are they? Nobody seems to know. I mean, they are just so deep underground right now, aren't they?
It's like Scientology, but Scientology pursues celebrities, and these guys go after politicians and try to just bring politicians into the fold. It's very strange. It's very cult-like. We still have super chats, and we're 3 minutes over.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we have Darren Turner, who gives us $5.49. I don't see a super chat. Derek G gives us $5. There will be a protest against tyranny and corruption at Parliament Hill on the 29th of August. 1,400 hours to 1,800 hours, maybe? Is that what you mean? Hillary Waugh gives us $2. Why did all the black relations remain in? Black redactions?
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Well, Sheila, you're certainly no stranger to that when you get your FOI papers, right? I mean, sometimes you'll have a page there's more black magic marker than there is actually type on it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard on my printer ink because I find it easier to print these things out sometimes than read them on a screen as a PDF. Yeah. And it's page after page that's blacked out. Or they'll just say, they won't even include the pages. They'll just say pages like 12 through 122 have been redacted for this reason. And they'll just slip that right into the middle. And I'm supposed to be like, well, fine. And it's always something like national security or cabinet confidentiality, which is just like a catch-all.
Which is a basis for redacting that. But the question is, do you trust them that they are being honest about exactly?
No. Yeah. No, that's just a catch-all. It's just cabinet secrets. We can't talk about it. So they know that, how do you ask? Well, what is the cabinet secret? And then all of a sudden it's not a secret anymore. So that's just their convenient excuse for putting that in. And that's it. I think we're finally all caught up.
Oh, okay. Well, and we are over time, as you said. So, what can I say? Folks, thank you so much for making this the fastest hour of the week that I'm going to speak for Sheila right now, that the two of us have experienced. Thank you so much to the super chatters and your generosity. And thank you to Justin in the control room. Oh, you're doing this with the finger.
We have one more super chat.
One more super chat.
Yeah, one more super chat. Edward Sweet gives us $5 and says, remember what David Dingwall, a famous liberal, once said, that he was entitled to his entitlements.
That might go down as the quote of the century, entitled to my entitlements. And we have a whole...
One more.
Oh, okay.
One more super chat. Ammo C9M gives us $5. Investigate Onyx, Leduc, Alberta COVID camps. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll see what I can find out.
There you go.
And that's it.
And one more.
One more still? Oh, yes. Oh, it's kind words to end the show on. Darren Turner gives us $5.49. Love Rebel Media. Keep up your great work. Thank you very much.
Well, how about we end it on a high note, to quote Porky Pig. That's all, folks. See you here again on Tuesday next week. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend and stay safe.